Our next guest is the only person to ever appear more than once on the real estate debate for TV. Please welcome back to the show a man who is never short for words, real estate expert Larry Abrams, and his special guest, the editor of Dining Out San Diego, Josh Kopelman.
All right, welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having
time. This is great. We're going to talk about the food scene, Josh, in San Diego, which is getting pretty awesome.
There's so much going on. It's really incredible. If you said 10 years ago that there would be so much happening at one time, it's pretty overwhelming and pretty incredible. The neighborhoods, Little Italy, North Park, even places like Oceanside are really just incredible to go out and eat and experience what's going on.
I know, it's so interesting because you would think it would be difficult for all these restaurants to make it because it's such a hard industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really difficult industry to make a profit in.
Absolutely.
But there's new, really cool, fine dining, vegan restaurants opening every week, it seems like. So, how is that possible? Is it really just that San Diegans have embraced the food culture?
I mean, I credit a lot of it to the success of the beer industry. And so the breweries have been so successful with Stone, Ballast Point, Green Flash, AleSmith. Everyone's building these massive breweries, and I think the chefs are feeding off that energy of, the breweries have pushed the envelope. Ballast Point has a distillery, and it's one of those things where chefs say, hey, if they're doing it, I can do it, and they're pairing with beers, they're pairing with spirits, they're doing a lot of collaboration dinners. There's just a lot going on.
Or maybe people are just getting so drunk they need to eat. Maybe that's the problem.
That might be it, yeah.
That could be the driving force, right?
That's a good reason.
People are drinking so much, they're just like, it's time to eat.
Yeah, right.
Gotta eat before, and then you gotta have your post-drunk meal.
Well, I mean, there's a point in time here in San Diego when you think about the Ballast Points. I mean, for those of us who've been here long enough, Ballast Point started off as only a tasting room. Mm-hmm. And now they're this 20,000 square foot facility with beer barley coming down a train on the backside of their warehouse and dropping off barley to brew. Now they have a restaurant, a clothing store where they're selling souvenirs. So I mean, to think what these breweries started off doing and then now to be where they're at, I think it all revolves around food. Now as you get bigger and bigger, you're like, well, God, if I have 4 beers, I might need a burger after that, or I might need some French fries. So I think what they've done is kind of steered the market towards that kind of design. And of course, where they put these places obviously uptakes the real estate investment, uptakes the market, kind of makes the surrounding areas that much more popular and that much more of an attraction for people to want to be at.
Yeah, because people have been saying for a long time North Park's the place to be, right? If you like to eat, North Park, Hillcrest, live in those areas, you'll be able to walk to 20 different places.
That's it.
And that makes it a very desirable place to be. The editor of this magazine, you probably see a lot of this stuff that we don't necessarily see. I mean, are you just like, oh my gosh, I have to eat there. Oh my gosh, I have to eat there. Oh my God. Are you all over the place eating?
There's a lot of exciting things that are coming along. A new restaurant's about to open next week called Trust in the new Jonathan Siegel building on Park. So that's over on the Hillcrest North Park University Heights border. So there's new stuff opening every day. And the chefs, the movement of the chefs and people, where they're going and their inspiration, the farm to table movement, influenced by the slow food movement, has been really something here because San Diego's known for our farms. We're known for those organic farms like BY's, like Chino Farms, that famously feed a lot of restaurants up and down the coast and around the country. That they'll list Chino Farms right there on their menus.
Yeah, I've been seeing Susie's Farm and stuff like
Crow's
that
Pass.
listed. It's so interesting because the movement 20, even 30 years ago was about fast food. It was like, give me fast food. I don't care, what's in it. Just give it to me if it's cheap and fast. And now we're kind of going the opposite direction. Now it's like, no. I want it to be as healthy as possible. I'll wait for it.
People want an experience.
And I'll pay for it.
Yeah.
So that is a big change.
It's exciting. It's exciting. I think with the advent, with the internet and with food television, there's been a lot of education on how much goes into great food and how important it is to know where your food is sourced. And there's been a lot of great chefs here locally that have worked hard over their careers. Andrew Spurgeon's one who has done a ton for slow food. And there's just a lot of great people in one spot and a lot of people who are inspired and taking it to that next level.
I mean, I remember back when I was in the industry, this is 10 years ago, 12 years ago, back in San Diego, and there was this thing we started called Cook Confab. And it was Andrew Spurgeon, Christian Graves, Antonio Fresia, myself, Amy DiBiase. There was a handful of us, maybe 10 of us, that we started this they tended to want to start this movement of all natural, slow food, true to the origin, keep the nutrients within the product that we're trying to heighten. And now we've taken that concept 10, 12 years ago to this worldly thought that, wow, why don't we just eat the food that comes from the farm, straight from the farm to the table? Which, I mean, Rebecca's been doing for thousands of years in England. They don't really spend too much time in the supermarkets. You go down to the corner store, you go down to the market, and it's just carrots from the local roadside farm.
And of course, we got to talk about the Little Italy Mercato and the farmers markets. We have so many farmers markets locally,
I love it, yeah.
and the populace is going every week. I think there's more than 10,000 people at the Little Italy Mercato every Saturday. It's pretty incredible. We do give out our magazines at the market. And they're also in PB on Tuesdays and North Park on Thursdays. So those markets are really incredible. You can meet the farmers, you can see your different produce every week as it's seasonal, and you're getting that fresh produce.
So when we see these new restaurants opening, a lot of them are sort of like conglomerate groups or stuff where it's like these people who figured out how to make restaurants work and make them profitable. But there's also a lot of mom and pop stuff that's going on. Is this just like the perfect time or the best time ever to open a restaurant in San Diego?
That's a very good question. There are a number of restaurant closings, so there has been a saturation point. Croce's closed last week. Aqua Al Due closed this week. El Callejon, and these are restaurants.
Wow.
Aqua Al Due had been around 15 years. El Callejon for 22 years. So there's been a sort of a perfect storm of a very, very busy restaurant market, and how many consumers can go and frequent these places on a regular basis. So the savvy, groups have, they're busy 7 days a week.
Yeah, they figured it out.
Yes.
Yep.
So Larry, how does that play into desirability for where people want to live and ultimately, real estate values? When buyers are looking to buy, I'm sure this is on the top of the list.
Well, I mean, we see what's happening down in Little Italy. I mean, we've got in the next couple of years, we have 4 projects scheduled to be built or finished at multi-million-dollar type deals. I mean, the Bossa building with Pacific Gate, and then they have 3 other buildings that are going up in the same vicinity. You have other developers that are just booming. So with the influx of these multi-million-dollar properties, obviously what comes along with that is what's accessible to those properties. And the thing that people most want when they're buying $1 million condo is accessibility to wine rooms, accessibility to restaurants, accessibility to parks, accessibility to public transportation, places where they don't have to necessarily get down to the basement of their building, get in their car, get out of the building, get by the gate, get stuck in traffic and drive 2 blocks. So I think as we start to see San Diego develop with North Park, Hillcrest, South Park even now is kind of they're on the,
it's coming up, man.
They're on the tail end of the North Park reboom, right? So there's no more room in North Park, right? So where do you go now? Now you go to South Park. And so from South Park all the way down the hill into that east side of downtown is now getting redeveloped with, the garden yard or whatever they're calling it, the open Bottega Americana, that area, that's getting redeveloped. So as these areas get redeveloped, I mean, you're seeing restaurants go in them first and breweries and bars. And then guess what comes next 2 or 3 years later? These big developments, these condos, these affordable homes. So I say, if you're out there and you want to buy a home and you want to be in the place to be, find where your favorite restaurant is and it's not too populated, or if it's one of those like Buena Fuechadas that used to be in South Park, it was a standalone by itself. If you want to buy over there, I'd say buy now before the influx of 10 or 15 different restaurant groups saturate the market, and now the value of the homes go up at least 5 to 10% just because of the accessibility of what you have at
It's
your
an interesting
disposal.
idea. If you have an area where there's a busy restaurant, it's been there for a while, but real estate values are still down. There's places like that in Golden Hill,
Yep.
by the way.
I was going to say Golden Hill is
Yeah.
coming up.
That's
I mean,
kind of
I'd say
an
buy
indicator.
now.
Yeah,
Buy
buy
now.
right now, right?
Yeah.
Get in there now. These restaurants have proven that there's enough people there to keep them going for a long period of time. They still have lines out the door. That might be an indicator this is a great place to buy for an investment.
And I think the next generation of home buyers, the millennials that are actually starting to look at it and start to think about what's my long-term investment, and real estate becomes their target. They want to be places where they can walk, where they have accessibility, where they have the ability to not get in a car, waste gas. We're seeing the trend now towards vegan restaurants, health conscious, and more of a fast food way, but it's still the healthy version of eating. So they're riding their bike to the store, they're riding their bike to the bar, they're riding their bike to the restaurant. So where is it in these desirable areas that they still have the ability to buy affordable housing? And I'm saying, right now I'd say South Park, you know, east of Adams Avenue, east of the 15, like south, you know, Kensington, North Parkish area is still a good way. The one that I kind of say is under the blanket and the hidden gem of San Diego is Oceanside. It's still one of the only places in San Diego where you can find beachfront property for under $1 million. And with the influx of restaurants and bars and things that are happening down on the Pacific Highway and Mission Boulevard, it's only a matter of time before those things start to skyrocket. And so if you want to live somewhere where you want to be part of the boom, you've got to find where the new restaurants are going. And when those new groups open these restaurants, I'd say find out where they're planning to open their next restaurant, say I'm going to go move there, and get your home at the value where it's at now, and then just watch it multiply and multiply and multiply.
Fantastic advice, great stuff. Larry, Josh, appreciate you guys being here so much. Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
time. And stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else, commercial free.